think we did hit some IEP goals unintentionally. Most of our students do have a social IEP goal. So, for example, turn-taking, conversation, proximity issues. And I think just by naturally being around the business and working in the business, or even just standing with adults and talking to them while we're running the business, I do think we practice a lot of their social skill goals that are on their IEPs. So again, the student that has an interrupting goal that he needs to wait for an appropriate point in the conversation to enter the conversation or interrupt in a polite way by saying, "Excuse me." You know, did it happen every day? Probably not, but it probably happened quite often where we touched on those social skill goals.
Where they came in and they looked at our indicator 13 on our IEPs, and that's all about transition. And so what we did at the high school level is this is their transition. Like, we incorporated every piece of this business into their IEP underneath that section. Community experience is one of the topics on the coordinated set of transition activities. So that riding our campus and community bus is how we get around to the different grocery stores that we go to. So that's a piece that we can incorporate right into the IEP. We also wrote that this particular student will participate, this is underneath acquisition of daily living skills, will participate in an in-house soup kitchen program that provides soup to faculty and staff. This program provides life skill opportunities in shopping, budgeting, cooking, cleaning up after a meal, writing deposit and withdrawal slips, using a savings account, completing time card sheets, and the skills necessary to participate and manage household duties and responsibilities. So we're doing everything from the laundry of all of our towels and dish rags and everything that we use to sweeping the floors, wiping the counters down, all those things that you would have to do to, sort of clean and maintain a house, but we're tying them into our business, and then we actually write that right into the IEP. But we actually have two sections. One is the coordinated set of transition activities, and the activities are instruction-related services. So our OT guy, we had a student who was struggling with some plastic baggies, something we were doing in the kitchen. I can't remember what it was specifically, but he was having a really hard time, like, zipping them and folding them the way they needed to be folded to keep some of our ingredients fresh. I can't remember exactly what it was, but we actually had the OT guy come in, and it was sort of a fine motor skill that the student was really struggling in. So he came up with doing something with newspapers, folding that, and then transitioning from that to folding the actual bags. And so we've definitely, and then speech works with us all the time on when we're talking to customers, and we have a student who has some difficulty with her R sounds, so we use some of the things that she's going to have to say as her practice for her speech therapy. The other sections are development of employment and other post-school adult living objectives, and then acquisition of daily living skills.